Hello and welcome back to my build series of restoring a Epiphone SG guitar. I know it's been a long time since my last video in this series. So some of you might not even know that I'm building an SG or that I was building an SG because it's been, I don't even know how long it's been. It's kind of ridiculous, I know. And I'm quickly now just going to explain what happened and why you didn't see that guitar being finished. After I painted the guitar, the next step was going to be to put in the electronics. And the thing is, I already have one SG, and if you've looked at my other videos, you know that I took a right-handed SG and made it into a left-handed SG. And so I already have one. I don't really need two. I'm not that big of a fan of the SG that I feel like it warrants having two SGs. So I decided that if I'm going to have another SG, I really need to do something special with it, something different, and make it unique, because otherwise it doesn't make sense for me to have two SGs. So I've been spending a lot of time trying to figure out something fun that I can do with the electronics, because that's where I feel like I can do something different. I could obviously reshape the body, do something weird with it, but I didn't really feel like going that way. I might still do it. I might redo the guitar once more, but if I'm gonna reshape an SG, I feel like the other SG that is brandless might be a better choice to do that, and not this one, but I don't really know. Anyway, I decided to look into electronics, and so that's what I've done. I've spent a lot of time, which you are not aware of because it's been, behind the scenes, looking into different kinds of wiring and things like that. And so I have come up with something that is kind of weird and different, and is something that I don't have in any of my other guitars, and I have a lot of guitars. So I'm actually kind of happy about this, and I hope that you guys are going to find this interesting. This is going to be a shorter video. It's going to be just the electronics and then a sound test of the guitar, because I'm just going to put it together because it's overdue by like half a year or even more than that. Actually, it's ridiculous. It's almost a year since I started building this guitar, and so we're just super quickly gonna put it together and play it, and you'll get to hear sounds, hopefully. So without rambling on too much more now, because I know I'm always rambling on too much, I'm just going to start showing you what I've come up with the electronics, and hopefully you're going to like it, find it interesting, and forgive me for taking so long to build this guitar. Okay, so here is the electronics that are going in to the guitar. And I'm first going to explain a little bit of how you wire an SG, more standard, so that you sort of understand this craziness a little bit more. So first off, here's the switch, and it has basically 4 connections. You have a connection over here, and that's where you would connect the ground wire. And that's the case both in this wiring here and in the standard SG wiring. Then you have 3 connections over here. And in an original, you would have the output jack wired to the middle one, and you would have the out of each volume pot, the one that is supposed to be here, and the one here, wired to these. I'm instead going to put the pickups directly there. Now, the difference there is that you would, on a standard, select which 2 you want. If you want the neck pickup, you will have these 2, and it will be a volume and a tone. And if you flick it down to the bridge, you would have 1 volume here and 1 tone here, and they would be connected to the output jack. So you would select which wiring you would want. And it would be wired basically like, for example, a Telecaster that didn't have a switch. So it would basically be like having 2 pre-wired kits for a Telecaster in your guitar and a selector switch for which kit you want. Now that allows you to set the values of the potentiometers differently and then select which one you want. What I've done instead is that I've left these 2 free, and I've done the way you would do in a Strat or a Tele, which is the out from the switch goes to the in of the volume potentiometer. Now that means that I'm not selecting which wiring I want with my pickups wired directly to the pot. I'm selecting the pickup that is going to go to the pot. So here are 2 connections, the outer ones, and that's where I'm going to wire in my pickups. I haven't done that yet because I'm going to do that when I put everything into the guitar. This is just the pre-wiring so that it's easy for me to show you. And the wires, the ground wires from the pickups will be wired to the back of the volume pot right here, where also all other ground wires will be connected. There's a ground wire here that goes there, that goes there, that goes there. I don't have a ground wire jumping across because then I would get a circular grounding issue. There is also going to be attached a ground wire to the bridge. It's not there yet because it needs to come through the guitar. So just know that there are 3 ground wires extra, and there are 2 pickups that are going to be attached. Here is the lead wire that comes from the selector switch, and that is the difference. Instead of selecting which wiring you want, you select which pickup you want, and it goes in here. That's the red wire from the switch. The black wire is the ground. Then the leg is grounded off like in every guitar, and the middle one has all the blue wires connected to it, and it also has 1 red wire, and the red wire goes to the output jack, to the positive side. There's also a ground wire, the black one that goes here, to the negative or ground on the output jack. Regular basic stuff. There's a tiny blue wire that goes from the middle leg of this pot here, which is the tone knob or the tone pot, and it goes directly to the output, which is the middle leg of the volume pot. That means that when you move this pot, you can blend in the tone into the output jack. Here we have a ground wire that goes to the pot and goes further to this switch over here. The middle leg here has a blue wire that is also connected to the volume pot's middle leg, just like the tone pot. Now the difference here, if you look, is you can see these tiny little blue things that sit here, and that is 2 BAT41 Schottky diodes. And if you put 2 diodes instead of a tone and you put them opposite, so that the black line that is on one side is the opposite from the other one, and you solder them in place instead of a tone, you actually get a clipping pot. So this is a tone pot, and this is a distortion pot. So when we go to the sound demo, you're going to see me move this pot, and you're going to hear the guitar get more distorted. Now you can put anything you want here in form of a diode. You don't have to use what I'm doing here. The reason why I'm using these one is because they will affect the circuit very little. So it's a very subtle distortion. You will be able to hear it, and it's sort of nice, but if you put something like an LED here, you're gonna realize really soon why that's not a good idea. Because when you're clipping the signal, you're making the volume lower. So the more effect you have, the more clipped the signal will be, but the lower the volume will be. So if you were to put regular tiny little LEDs like these ones that I have right here, you wouldn't be able to hear the guitar. You would have to put the amplifier on max volume, and you get a really thin, faint signal that was really distorted and almost sounded like the guitar was farting, and it wouldn't be that nice of a sound, or at least I don't think it would be that nice of a sound. Here you will hear most likely that the volume drops a little bit, but I feel like it's acceptable volume drop for the clipping. So again, this is a BAT41, and you can experiment with other things, but this is what I'm using because it's a sort of give or take situation. How much volume from the guitar are you willing to lose, and how much clipping are you willing to get, basically. So that's why I'm using that one. Over here I have a switch, and it's a regular on-off switch, kill switch, and it works super simple. I have 1 ground wire that goes to one leg, and the other leg here has a blue wire that goes to the signal out from the volume pot, the middle leg. And when I press this button down, I ground, there is a connection inside here, so I ground the output jack to itself, basically making plus and minus contact, and that will cut the signal, killing it. Now what I've done, because I don't like the way it looks when you have a kill switch instead of a tone or volume pot, is I've taken my switch and I've drilled a hole in it, which I hope you can see that I've done, and I've pressed in a tone pot, or I mean a pot head. So I basically took the pot apart, and I took out the little head of it that you used to turn it, and I put it on, so that I later, when I've put the guitar together, can take my control knob and press it on. Now that means that I will have one control knob that you can't move, but it will look nice, and you can press it as a kill switch. And it's just because I think it would look nicer. I used an old tiny little pot, one of those small ones that you get in an inexpensive beginner guitar, and it was basically something that I wasn't going to use again, so I did this. So when I put this together, going to be the next thing I show you, I will have 1 control for the volume, and 1 for tone, 1 for distortion, and 1 for kill switch, basically. So it's going to be a little bit interesting, hopefully, to look at. And the volume pot is going to control everything, no matter what pickup I'm selected. So it's going to be more like a Strat or a Telecaster, where you know you have one volume for everything. It's super simple and easy to do. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, because I'm glancing over a lot in this video to make it shorter, because I am sort of fed up with building this guitar. Now I'm going to show you some close-up of this, so that if you want to remake this and you want to look at closer pictures than this, you can do so. And hopefully it will be all good and helpful. And yeah, you can just talk to me in the comments below if something is. Okay, so here's the wiring now, and as you can see I put some hot glue down there and I put the pickup wires in here. And if you remember from the very first video or something like that, the wires had different colors, but that's because I switched them out. So now they're in place and the ground wires are going over here. It all looks a little bit messy and a little bit wonky, but it should all work. And here is the front now, and hopefully, because I've sunken this in as far as I can, once the knobs goes on, it will all disappear. Okay, so here's the guitar right now. It's all put together, everything is where it's supposed to go, and now I'm just going to put some strings on it, do a little bit of setup, you know, making sure the strings high is correct and nothing is buzzing, do a little bit of intonation, you know. But anyway, now I'm just going to jump into a sound clip. I'm going to explain the controls again and play it so that you can hear it, and hopefully you will like it. Now, I know that I bust through this video with the setup and everything and made it very quickly, and it's just because I've built a couple of guitars lately, like the Telecaster. I then also built a Jimi Hendrix Stratocaster, and then I built that yellow Stratocaster that I just did. And so I feel like there is a lot of information that I've been putting out lately about guitar building. I mean, there's the stop motion bass as well, if not teaches you anything. But anyway, so yeah, this is maybe quickly going through all the parts being put back together. But I mean, if you saw the videos of me taking the things off, it's basically the same thing in reverse. So hopefully you're okay with that. Anyway, I'm gonna put strings on it and we're gonna go play it. Okay, if you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe. That helps me out and lets me know that you appreciate the work I put into these videos. And also, if you think this guitar looks nice, it would make me happy if you gave me a thumbs up for it. Anyway, until next time, stay awesome and cool. And if you don't have a SG guitar, you need to go and play one, because they're pretty cool guitars. So do that, and maybe you'll buy one or build one. Anyway, it's awesome and cool, and so are you.